Starting an online business can be an exciting and rewarding experience, but it's important to go over both the pros and cons before diving in. That's why in this video, we're going to go over the advantages and disadvantages of starting an online business, from the flexibility of working from anywhere to the challenges of building an audience. We'll explore the pros and cons of this entrepreneurial journey. By understanding these factors, you can make an informed decision about whether starting an online business is the right choice for you. So let's get started with the first advantage of starting an online business, and that one is low startup costs. Now, no longer do we need a whole bunch of capital to start a business anymore. Back in the days where you needed a whole bunch of money to probably open up have a office building or any type of building that in order to run your business, you need a large sum of money. You no longer do that. With the internet, you can start, a business online for a couple $100. And in some cases, you can start it for free if you use social media or depending on what kind of platform that you use to start your online business. But no longer do you need have to have a lot of money in order to start up that business. I started when I did affiliate marketing, it cost me like a few $100 just to get into a program just to learn about affiliate marketing. So, and you can start an online business for less than that. So it all depends on what you're trying to do. But no longer do you need that. That's one of the biggest advantages now, that's a low barrier of just getting by understanding these factors, you can make an informed decision about whether online businesses is right. By understanding these factors, you can make an informed decision about whether starting an online business is the right choice for you. So let's get started with the first advantage of starting an online business, and that is low startup costs, right? So you no longer need a whole bunch of money to start a business anymore, right? Like back in the days where you needed a lot of capital to probably, get access to a building and you had to buy a whole bunch of equipment. With the internet, you no longer need to do that. All you need is like a camera phone and a laptop and some internet. And for me, when I started my affiliate marketing, it just cost me a few $100 just to get into the teaching program so I can learn how to learn about making money online. And in some cases, depending on what you're doing online, you could get started for less than that. So it all depends on what you're trying to do. But the fact that you don't have to spend so much money to start your business anymore is one of the biggest things about starting an online business. All right. The next thing is access to a global market, right? I mean, there's almost 8 billion people in this world, right? And all you need is access to like a small percentage of them to make a decent amount of money, right? The fact that most businesses that you would be stuck to who was around you. With the internet, you have access to everywhere around the world, so you get access to so many people that are looking to probably get access to whatever product or service that you're selling, and it makes it much easier to grow your business, right? The next thing is flexible working hours, okay? Now, depending on your business, what you're doing, you control what you're doing. You control it with the hours that you're working, compared to working a 9-to-5 job where you have to work, you have to come in at a certain amount of time. Starting your online business, you decide how, what times that you work, right? Depending on what kind of business you're in, what kind of people you're serving, you create the schedule that works best for you, and there's no one on top of your shoulder saying, all right, come in at this time. So that's another big advantage for a lot of people. The next thing is obviously the same thing, is the ability to work from anywhere in the world, right? Depending if you're in the United States or you're on the East, it doesn't matter where you are. You can create a business online. So it doesn't really matter. It's not restricted to a certain place. So you can, if you're someone that services people here in the United States, you can still be in another country, servicing that business. So it really does. There's no restriction in terms of like where you have to be. So that's obviously a huge advantage. And you see a lot of people that work in different countries, and online, where they just, as long as they have the laptop, they can have access to their customers. The next thing is opportunity to create passive income. I know a lot of people think, when they think about passive income, they just think the money's coming in. And yes, and you can make the money while you sleep, which is a great thing. But a lot of people think that it just happens. You got to build that up. You got to build it up to having that passive income. And starting an online business allows you the flexibility or the access, the power to do that. So once you're obviously in the front end, you got to build that business up. And then once you get to a point where it's running on its own, you can start creating that passive income. Like nothing is 100% passive, but you can create the system where you're making money while you sleep, right? So those are the biggest advantages of starting an online business. Now, Obviously, with any advantages, there's some disadvantages, and I'm gonna name some of them right now. And obviously, like I mentioned, there's almost 8 billion people in this world, and that gives you access to a lot of people. That can also be a negative in terms of like competition, and that's another thing. Like even though there's so many people that you can have access to, that means there's a lot of people that's competing against you for those same access to those same customers. So there is a lot of people that you have to make sure that get your business to stand out above the rest. So you got to make sure you have a good product, you have a good service, and there's ways to do that. And competition is a good thing, right? It allows you to step your game up. A lot of people are afraid of competition, but if there's competition, that means there's a demand for whatever product or service that you're selling. So don't be afraid of competition, but it is something that you have to worry about, and that is something that's there. The next thing is lack of face-to-face interaction with customers, right? Obviously, if you have a brick and mortar business, you have access to your customer, you can develop that relationship. With an online business can be difficult. Obviously, you have things like Zoom where you can talk to your customers and stuff like that. But the fact that everything is online, you don't really have access, or you don't really get that to build that relationship with your customers. So that is one of the negatives. And a lot of people obviously when it comes to selling a product or service, people like to trust the people that they're buying from. But there's different ways to get around that. But that is something that you have to worry about and learn how to develop when you're selling that product or service. And the next thing is need for motivation and self-discipline. This is one of the hardest things when it comes to like starting your own business, period. Like with the 9 to 5, you know exactly when you're going into work, you know what time you got to work, and then every 2 weeks you get a paycheck. With a business online, you have to do everything yourself. That motivation has to come from within. Like I said, you're setting your own time schedule, so you have to do everything yourself. It's all reliant on you. And for a lot of people, you can look at that and be a little afraid, scared. But for most people that are driven on, they have that entrepreneurial spirit, that doesn't really scare them. They like the thrill of that. They like the fact that everything is dependent on them, and they like having to build something up where they can create a system for themselves where it can hopefully build them wealth long term. But that is something you got to figure out, is finding that motivation and that self-discipline. The next thing is the challenges to like build trust and credibility. Like I spoke about this, like building trust with people, and the fact that you don't have that face-to-face interaction, it's hard to build that trust. But there's different ways of doing that, right? It's a slow process. Like say if you have a business that you sell online, a great way to like get people to know you, and so they can then buy your products or services. Like maybe go on YouTube, and then talk about whatever product or service that you're selling. And then once you develop that, once they get comfortable, then you can redirect them to your store, and then they can start buying from you. So there's different ways, but it's hard to really gain that trust, and that's like one of the hardest things in terms of like building an online business. Now, the fact that I mentioned both the pros and cons of starting a business, there are some factors that you want to consider before you start an online business, right? There's some things that you want to that you may face, some like issues that you may face. And obviously you want to make sure when you're getting started is making sure that you choose a niche, right? That's important. Like before you start a business, like before you decide to start a business, you want to figure out what kind of service or product that you're going to be getting into. Like for me, when I started getting on YouTube, I was like, okay, what do I have like experience with? What do I have like experience with? Like personal finance. I've been in debt, so talking about personal finance is something I had an interest in. I had affiliate marketing business, so I can teach a little bit about making money online. I'm into fitness, so I have a little bit of experience with that. So these are just things that I have experience with, where I can say, all right, I can get into any of these things, whether it's personal finance, making money online, or health and fitness. These are something that I have a little bit of knowledge and experience with. So I was like, you know what, I'll cater my niche towards that. So you want to make sure before you start an online business, like what do you have knowledge? Like what do you have experience with? Like where's your expertise? Even if you're developing that expertise, what drives you? Like what motivates you to be like, you know what, I want to go help people in this certain niche. So think about that, like what you want to get into based on your experiences, and then say, you know what, that's what I'll teach. And don't be afraid, because like it evolves over time. Maybe you'll start with personal finance, and then it delves to like making money online, or it might go into whatever different avenues. So don't be afraid of doing that as well. Now the next thing is like you want to make sure like you have an understanding of like legal aspects, right? And this is something that obviously once you start making money, then you start dealing with like legal and making sure things are up to code. Dealing with when people making purchases, you want to make sure you have documents ready, or you want to make sure you have terms and agreements on your like website if you have one. You want to make sure those are like ready too. So that's something like eventually once you start making money, then you want to start making sure you start investing in talking to people like how do you get everything when it comes to like legal. And also another thing is like developing a business plan, right? Now, this is something where for a lot of people, it's just like, okay, well, how do you develop a business plan? Like, what is a business plan? Like, basically, developing a business plan is like, so like depending on your product or service or whatever you're selling, like, how do you like if you're gonna charge customers, like what tools are you going to use in order to charge those customers? Like how are you gonna direct? What are you gonna how are you gonna bring these customers or clients? How are they gonna learn about you? Like, are you gonna have a website? Are you gonna use like YouTube? How are people like? How are you gonna introduce yourself to everyone? So just basically having a game plan mapped out on how your business works and what your business is about, and like what kind of customers are you targeting. So it's a good idea to have all that ready. But even if you don't, the most important thing is to just get started, and you'll figure everything out as you go. Like I did the same thing when I got started. I didn't really have a business plan. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna talk about this and then go from there. And then as you start gaining experience, then you can like start develop like every year start developing a business plan, like what you want to do or what are your goals are for that year. All right. The next thing is investing in marketing and branding. Like I said, like depending on what kind of businesses, you want to make sure you're getting yourself out there, whether it's using YouTube, Instagram, whatever social media platform, so people can learn about you. So that's one of the easiest way to like market yourself is using social media. This is where people can get to learn about you and know who you are and start developing that trust. And then you can start developing a brand for your service or business. So as you start talking about whatever topic that you're talking about, whatever niche, and then people start getting trust in you, they'll start knowing you, they'll start branding you for that certain topic, and they'll start looking at you as that go-to person. So these are like things that you want to make sure that you consider. So yeah, these are certain things that like if you're trying to start an online business, these are things that you want to be aware of, and then just think about as you start to think about like how you're going to get into it, because like it is an exciting thing, and there's so many advantages to obviously starting a business. Obviously outside the money, it's just so much just having the flexibility. Like you see so many people now like not wanting to work the 9-to-5 job. They want to find different ways of working from home, and these are things that people want. They want this type of leisure, obviously, but obviously you got to work for it. You can't just say, oh, I just want to stay at home and just work. I want this online business. It's something you have to put in a lot of work, and it does require a lot of work, but it's definitely so beneficial. There's so many positives, so many advantages of it. Obviously there's disadvantages as well, but it's definitely worth it once you build it up to where you want it to be. So that's all I got for you guys today. If you got any comments or questions, make sure to leave it down below. Hit the like button and share. And if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe. All right. So you guys take care and have a good one. Later.